son Jacob. I don't know that I can name all the presidents in order. Some can. My daughter can. She can do it. But it's just significant. And he's a veteran of World War II. He was in the Marines. He is very involved with Danville, the city. He helped build the cable television system. He was part of the WDAN radio system. Grew up with Gene Hackman, Dick Van Dyke. A lot of things going on there. But we asked everybody today, in lieu of gifts, if you could bring your funniest memory or just your best memories of my dad. I will. Yeah, they're coming. If you'd like to come up and share that memory yourself, we would warmly welcome that. But I'm going to kick it off a little bit, and I have a few memories I'd like to share. One is just growing up. Those of you who know my wife and I, we are Disney fanatics. We go to Disney quite often, and I think a lot of that was just from growing up and the things that I recall doing with my dad, sitting in the recliner on a Sunday. It was always Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom and the Wonderful World of Disney. And the first time I went was with my son and my oldest son, and I recall that seeing all the props and the things that Walt Disney had, and it just brought back all the memories of every Sunday. We would work all day Saturday, all day Sunday, but every Sunday night, that was our thing we did. We'd sit in the recliner, and that was our time together. Then the other memory is baseball would have been my senior year. Dad was always involved in sports with me growing up, and I recall specifically that day because he never got involved with the game. He wasn't the dad who came up and said, you know, this is how you need to do this. He'd work with me, he'd help me work things out, but this specific game, we were playing Bloomington in the regional final, and it was my senior year, so I was kind of done with school. I was ready to be done, and it was a back and forth game, and I remember he was standing back behind the backstop chewing on his Dutch Master cigar, and I think most of you remember those cigars. And he smoked them a little bit, but he chewed on them more than he smoked them. And he was sitting back there, and I'd hit a single and tied the game up, but the Bloomington came up, we were in extra innings, and they hit a home run, and they were ahead by 2, and we I think our team kind of gave up and thought it was over, and they brought in their fireball pitcher, and I still remember the kid's name. It was Valentine, and he threw a good fastball, and Dad was standing behind the fence. There were 2 outs, and I was walking up to the plate. Very seldom does he ever say anything, but that day he did, and he said, belt high. He's throwing a belt high. This is your pitch. And I had 2 strikes on me, and sure enough, he threw my pitch, and probably the longest home run I'd ever hit. And I just remember coming around the bases, trying to take it all in. Senior year, I knew that was my last game at Garfield Park, and as I'm rounding third base, I see him with that Dossey smirk on his face. He defeated Bloomington, and we went on, and it's just something that always just, every day I can still look back on that, and I see it like it just happened. Now I'm going to get a couple funny stories in, and one goes back to my teenage years. Well, actually, before my teenage years, this was back when, before he had air conditioning in the house, and we all know the summers we have here in Danville. And a couple of my friends thought they were going to be funny, and they came up and they lit some firecrackers off in the windowsill of my bedroom. And I don't think they realized my dad was an old Marine. And all I remember is those went off, I jump up, and I see a flash go by my room, and it was my dad and I think he's Fruit of the Looms, carrying a shotgun out the front door. It was the next day, I didn't know who it was, and my friend said, "Man, your dad's crazy." And John Bomay says, "And fast." They did not get quite across the road into the cornfield and running down, but I'm sure if they wouldn't have been as fast as they were, they might have got it. But that one always remember. I always remember. But Dad talked about this one today. We weren't quite sure if we were going to share this story or not, but since he brought it up, it's fair game. A lot of you know Dad's had a little bit of a issue going on. He was in the hospital here not too long ago, and my wife and I had to come back home to get some clothes packed up for him. I'm going there, Dan. So Terry, I'm talking about you. So Terry told me the other half of the story, so I said today it's fair game. So we're going through and we're getting his clothes together. We know he's going to be in the hospital for several days, and my wife goes, "John?" And I said, "What?" And she goes, "You need to turn around." And I turn around and she's holding up these big black lacy panties. And I say, and I'm like, "Where'd you find those?" She goes, "It was in his drawer." And she goes, "What do you think this means?" I said, "I don't know, put it back." So we go back to the hospital, and he's in there and he's giving the nurse a hard time, like we know how he would give a nurse a hard time. And I don't recall exactly how the story went, but I just looked over at him and I said, "Well, if we're going to go there, I might as well ask you now. We found something in the drawer." And he just turns over and he looks at me, and I don't think I've seen him laugh so hard. He was actually in tears, and his exact words to me are, "You weren't supposed to find those till I was gone." But that's okay, there's more. What more is, I don't know, but so Terry's talking to me today, telling me the whole story about how those came to end up in your drawer. So that is my stories that I will remember. There are many stories. I'm very proud of my dad. Dad, I love you. Happy birthday. I hope this was a surprise. We'll be over drinking your beer later tonight. And I will turn this over to anybody else. I think Stephanie wanted to go see it later. She asked me if she could talk, so I'll turn this over